Hey guys, here to review Abnormality's latest album, Contaminating the Hive Mind, and here is the album cover. So right off the bat, these guys are a 5-piece brutal death metal band from the USA, and this band has been getting a lot of hype lately around on the internet, and basically friends in town as well. I've had a whole bunch of people message me on Facebook saying, hey, you should really check out this band, hey, you should really check out this band. So after the 10th message, and after seeing these guys were signed on with Severed Records, I was like, okay, I'll check them out, quit sending me these messages, I'll look at them, just quit annoying the fuck out of me. So that's what I did. I checked them out, and I listened to their stuff on YouTube. I said, alright, this is slightly pleasable. I'll buy the album, see what happens. And great kick-ass brutal death metal album here. I've been listening to slam death metal throughout half the year, and you guys have been seeing me do reviews on slam death metal, so I figured it'd be a nice change of pace to get some brutal death metal in there as well without all the slam influences, and hit it up at y'all. So let's give you guys some reasons to buy this album. Vocals on this album. Before I get into this, yes, the vocalist is a female. For those of you who haven't heard or haven't seen the music video, she is a female, and yes, she is attractive. We all can see that, we all know it. Let's move on past that point and let's get into judging her by the music and how well she does vocals on the album as well as live. Now, vocals on this album, good. I mean, it's great. It's nothing new to write home about. I've heard many female vocalists do this style before, and she's kick-ass at it. She has a style that reminds me of old Deranged as well as 2011's Deranged with Cut, Carve, Rip, Serve. She definitely has that fast-paced intensity. Some spots she even reminds me of Cannibal Corpse in a few ways. The way she spits out her words very fast, very understandable. So she's able to have the ability to have these deep, low screams and basically just spit them out, fast-paced, and they're to the point where you can understand them. They're not just like, you know, screamings and gutturals to the point where it's, you know, oh, I gotta look in the lyric booklet to see what the lyrics are. If you're a vocalist and you do vocals, there are going to be a lot of parts in this album where you can definitely understand what she's saying, and you will not have a problem with that whatsoever if that's a problem for you. I personally find the death metal style vocals great. It's fantastic. It's not original, but she does it in a way that keeps it nice, punky, and fresh. She's got a lot of intensity, a lot of power in her vocals. So basically what I'm saying here is, just because she's a female vocalist, just because she's attractive, doesn't mean you should push away from this album or should it force you to buy it more. Great vocalist here, and yeah, you know. So there we go, vocals. Wanted to get that out of the way. Guitar riffing on this album, I have to say it's definitely what made it for me on this album. You know, along with the female vocalist, she does a great job. She sounds awesome. She sounds brutal. But the guitar riffing on this album is definitely what it made it for me. You know, the technical riffing ranging from just technical death metal to brutal death metal. They're definitely mixing the two styles together. And to be honest with you guys, it's nothing I haven't heard before. It's nothing I haven't heard done before. But this is one of the few bands that did it, and it sounds fantastic. You know, there are a few bands that actually can mix the technical guitar riffs and brutal death metal and basically have it sound good, and these guys are one of them. So along with that, they do have some old style, definitely, you know, guitar riffs in here, definitely ranging some Cannibal Corpse, like old tricky stuff in there. Nothing really new and fresh, but the technical death metal side of this, I love the technicalness of the guitar. It's raw, it hits you in the face with a punch, and just the guitar riffing, great on this album, love it. Bass on this album, I have to agree with what my reviewer friend Runner JMA said in his album review. I'll put a link to his channel below and to his review. He basically said that the bass jumps in where it's needed and then it backs away. You know, you can hear the bass in this album. If you play bass, you can definitely hear the bass in this album. You do have to dig with it through your ears. If you do not play bass, you have to listen to it. You have to be like, okay, there it is. But, you know, at some points in the album, the bass steps up and you can hear it playing right along with the guitars. And some points in the album, you can hear it just blended in with the guitars. And all in all, sounds great, sounds brutal, and bass as well is a good job. Drumming. From the YouTube videos I've saw, the Facebook stuff, you know, and all that jazz, I'm not a drummer player. You know, I do not play drums whatsoever. A lot of people say that his style that he uses for drumming for blast beats is a bad style. It'll ruin his fingers. It's bad for him. It's not the proper way of doing it. You know, I could really care less because the drumming on this album sounds absolutely fucking insane and brutal. I mean, besides the fact that, you know, you're doing it wrong, it's improper, it's like, who cares? Does the music sound good? Yes. Does the drumming fast? Yes. Those are the only two questions that I could really care about. You know, I do not care that much for melodic drumming. There are a few melodic parts in this album, but mostly throughout this album he saves with the fast blast beats, just ultra kicking it in your face, brutal and heavy. You know, with all that said, I could care less, as I said. But if you do care about that, don't listen to the band and don't watch the drummer. I don't know. I mean, why do you care so much on the proper technique? If it's not you that's using the technique that he is using, then you shouldn't care. Because what it comes down to is, you know, this is a little bit off the album review, but, you know, what it comes down to is bands in the 80s and 90s when they were first coming out did the death growl. And now all of a sudden in the 2000s there's these kids saying, that's not the proper way to scream. You know, there is no proper way to scream whatsoever. Eventually, if your body anatomy is not built to withstand screaming, then eventually you will damage your vocal cords and you will get vocal nodes. It's invulnerable. You cannot just say, oh, I'm never going to get vocal cord nodes because I'm using my diaphragm, and blah, 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 blah. You know, there is no such thing as a proper way of screaming. So when it comes down to it, when you're playing music, it's what you're comfortable with. So what I'm saying here is, if he's comfortable with that style of drumming, so be it. Alright, so yeah, right off the bat, excuse me guys, I got sick here a little while ago, but Abnormalities, Contaminating the Hive Mind,